Good evening, Majir Pack2 speaking, and I have another unfair game for you. This is going to be on the Shallows. I have a lot of Shallows games here, so I want to make sure I find the right one. There we go. Alright, this is going to be Xzavion versus Descara. And this is Artifact Cup 18. This is in the round of 8. This is going to be the first round of 8 game that I cast. So these games are going to be getting a little more intense because we're seeing players who have each already won a matchup. Xzavion versus Balls of Steel and Descara versus Leuven, I believe. I have not cast the Leuven game. I did cast the Xzavion versus Balls of Steel game. So we have Xzavion here. We're going to be watching from his point of view. And he's going to be starting on CUs, and Descara over here, who is going to be playing as Coalition, going to be starting on, looks like 3 CUs and, or sorry, looks like RUs and CUs. 2 CUs and 2 RUs. Descara is also going to be retiring his base runner here.
Confirmed.
And he didn't send out the probe like he usually does, so I guess he really wants those extra CUs.
Salvage construction.
Xzavion, it looks like, has retired his base runner. Oh no, he hasn't retired his base runner. Okay. It was just hiding.
Systems online. Support systems initialized.
It's still there. Okay. Oh no, okay. After all that, he does retire his base runner. So he throws out his scanner, retires his base runner, and he's going to be expanding to probably more CUs over here. And the reason I say that this is an unfair matchup is because Descara is a very, very strong player. He's been playing the game for quite a while, and he is consistently in the top elite group of players. He's not unbeatable, especially when he's had a few drinks. He's very much beatable in that state. And Xzavion is a much newer player. Xzavion has improved a great deal since I first played him on the Shallows, and he, like I said, won his previous matchup, so he's definitely been learning, but he is also not a top player quite yet. We'll be looking forward to the day when that is the case. So this is an unfair matchup, and I am not expecting to see Xzavion like win 2 games here, but I'm hoping that we'll see some interesting play from both players.
Rally position designated.
This is Shallows, so it's not likely that we're going to see a whole lot early. Most players like to take advantage of the close resources and build an economy first. That said, you can rush on Shallows. We're just not going to see that this game, it seems.
Command authority recognized.
From Xzavion's point of view, we can see he does have Sandscammer tech. He's expanded and has also gotten refinery mode for the production cruiser. So he is good on 2 bases. It's interesting that he's left his Gaussian carrier, which is a strong carrier, back home and moved the production cruiser forward. A lot of players will move the carrier up in order to sort of defend this mouth of the base.
Salvager online.
Sandscammer is coming out for Xzavion. They're going to meet a scouting LAV for Descara. And what is going on here?
Artifact detected.
Descara has researched flight.
Sandscammer under fire.
And
Destination verified.
he has a flying AAV, which is going to come in handy, because there's really no anti-air that can deal with a flying AAV. I don't know what was up with that. I'm going to have to send that over to BBI and let them explain that one for me. But anyway, AAVs, some of them armed with wings, coming over, and that's going to present a problem here for Xzavion if he doesn't have another counter coming out soon. We can see that he hasn't researched railgun tech yet, or assault ship tech, but he does see the AAVs here. So if we take a look at units lost, it looks like an LAV lost for Descara, a couple Sandscammers lost here for Xzavion. Nothing terrible so far, nothing tragic. And Xzavion does have good scouting information. He can see these LAVs, or AAVs, and he can see at least one of them coming over.
Carrier weapon systems.
And in reaction to that, he is going to research railgun tech, which is a great choice. Descara, meanwhile, has not built a support cruiser quite yet. Looks like he's building one now. So he was content to just get out a couple AAVs early, which is a very good move, because there's not much to defend the AAVs here. Xzavion is going to swap his production cruiser and carrier, which I think is a great move. The carrier doesn't have a whole lot of power yet, but it just has a lot more staying power. It's not going to die like a production cruiser will. It can sort of shield other units. These units are not salvageable. I'm not sure Xzavion has realized that.
Systems online.
It's like 3 of them here are not salvaging. More scouts going to be taken out here, which isn't great for Xzavion, but not terrible.
Fabrication online.
And the unfortunate thing here is that without much weapon power,
Acknowledge we have insufficient resources.
these AAVs are going to be able to run in here and just do whatever they want to this resourcing pocket.
Coordinates verified.
And this is really the danger of not having some sort of defense early, some massed LAVs, some early railguns. If you are fighting a coalition player, is that a couple AAVs can just slowly whittle down your entire life. Heavy railgun here coming out, which is nice. It's going to be positioned well against these AVs, but it's going to kind of run up against this one. And it's going to have to sit in a sort of in-between spot until it can get a good angle. Strike fighters coming from Descara. We weren't able to see that tech come out because we weren't watching from his point of view. But they're going to come in and be the natural counter to the railguns. So that's a really nice tech choice. That's one of those 1-2 punches where he throws AAVs at you, you counter with railguns. He throws the perfect counter to railguns. That's going to really hurt. Meanwhile, Xzavion's resourcing in his main pocket has gone down. He did remember to actually start the salvagers up, so that's very good. And he does have more heavy railguns out, so the AAV problem is sort of dealt with. But Xzavion has a whole new problem. And he does not have missile ship fab. Yeah, I mean that AAV is dead. It's true. He doesn't have multiple production cruisers. That is sort of my choice in this situation. Is let's get multiple production cruisers out because that AA can add up when you're fighting a smaller number of strike fighters. Descara has moved his carrier up, of course, and it looks like he's just sort of neglected to continue mining here. A little busy with this fight. Neither player going for artifacts.
Heavy railgun destroyed.
But these railguns are really going to meet the demise that we anticipated. Xzavion focusing on rebuilding this resourcing pocket, but
destroyed. Carrier active.
And he's going to research missile ship fab, so he definitely needs that. He's not going to be able to survive without that because the strike fighters otherwise will just destroy all of these resources, and that will be game over. But he also needs to be able to deal with the other technology that Descara can throw at him, and so we can't see exactly what Descara's got, but I'm sure Descara is at least pondering having some of their tech out. The salvagers are going to go down. In this situation, it can help to manually spread out the salvagers, because that way at least the strike fighters have to waste more missiles and they'll only hit one salvager instead of these. Like, if these are clumped up here, it makes it very easy for strike fighters to do some damage. Same thing when you're fighting Gaussian assault ships. And especially true when fighting Kneff blast drones. Being able to spread your salvagers, like instead of having one here, have one over here, and then stick a production cruiser in between. Very handy. Oops, sorry for you there.
Carrier under attack. Craft an area.
Yeah, like this one. That's just one. It's taking a whole lot of missiles from these strike fighters to deal with, so... while Xzavion prepares to get missile ships out, which it looks like he's pumping out now, he can just make it so that these strike fighters can't do quite as much economic damage by splitting up like that.
Rally position designated. Armor craft.
He's gonna move it up here. It's an okay position. I guess it'll at least get coverage over here. I might keep one a little further up, that way you can get them on the approach.
Salvager online.
And Xzavion not doing great on resources, but not doing terrible. Unfortunately, his economy is just suffering in comparison to Descara's, and that's what matters. A couple of base runners coming out from Descara. So, capture the artifacts, why not? And this is just so many strike fighters. 8 strike fighters, come on. A couple of UAVs there, I guess to... Now, was that UAV... There were 2 UAVs there coming out from the base runners. I think that might have been to bait out the missiles from the missile ships in order to protect the strike fighters. I want to ask Descara about that, because if that's the case, that's really, really smart. Spend a couple of cheap air units to save some of your more expensive ones. And so Descara coming in, doing more significant damage. The fact that there are 2 missile ships here is a problem. He is now taking losses, and he now has to rely on other means to win the game, probably, than just using strike fighters. But he has those means. He does have a decent force of LAVs here. He does have 2 base runners moving towards the extraction zone, and they will be unopposed. Interesting that Xzavion has already decided to build another heavy railgun. I guess he was concerned about AAVs coming in again. I might choose more missile ships.
Defense alert. Cruiser has been engaged.
Because with the economy that Descara has, you sort of have to just hope that what you can do this game is bleed his economy by killing a lot of his strike fighters. And Xzavion's doing that pretty well here.
Ready for deployment.
killing a whole lot of strike fighters, and Descara was going for this production cruiser, not really doing much to it. That's just going to repair back. Xzavion has also researched the radar-guided missiles, so that we don't see that tech here anymore, which means he has researched that. So these are good missile ships for fighting air units. I would just be so concerned about these LEVs. These are going to be pretty unopposed, and unless these missile ships can get a really nice barrage hit there, these LEVs are going to be a great counter to, well, not really counter, but they're going to do a great job against this production cruiser, and so Xzavion should probably be looking, it looks like he is, to sand skimmers pretty soon. And I would say maybe assault railguns are a good choice, maybe a good compromise between the heavy railguns and the sand skimmers to be able to fight both LEVs and heavier targets. A nice missile barrage there, didn't do maybe as much as he'd hoped, but it was a decent hit.
Defense alert.
And another one coming out here, gonna kill a couple of them. But this production cruiser will probably go down.
Destroyed.
These LAVs have a decent amount of range, and they do not have upgrades, so that's interesting.
Systems ready.
Neither player has gotten strike craft upgrades.
Defense alert. Hostile
It's pretty close, maybe it won't go down. But the strike fighters will probably take it down, if nothing else. And these missile ships sort of clustered together, only 2 of them still, which leaves this production cruiser very vulnerable.
Armor craft available for production.
And these strike craft are just going to sort of roll in from the side, and they are going to target... Oh! So they did try to target that production cruiser, but they were distracted by the carrier. This can happen with targeting. Looks like Descara managed to catch that. But it didn't mean he had to hang around a little bit longer, and he's going to lose like 2, 3, 4 strike fighters as a result. Although another UAV here that we just saw baiting out more missiles, so I'm increasingly convinced that was a plan. Meanwhile, Xzavion has built up a strike craft force behind all this and will take out a base runner, which is good. This is, I mean, obviously it's good, but it means that Descara no longer has that easy means of victory, and he's going to have to try a little bit harder. He does have a powered up carrier. He's probably researched power reserve, it looks like, beyond just getting artifacts, because he does have quite a lot of carrier power. These are in a very dangerous position. They would be in a dangerous position even if a powered up carrier wasn't here, but there is a powered up carrier, and that does have a lot of range. And so these missiles are going to do a whole lot of damage to those LAVs. But he is down to 2 strike fighters. That's, you know, to Xzavion's credit, the missile ships are doing good work, and he did keep those alive. He's going to need to continue to keep them alive, because this is a lot of... that's 16 LAVs there. 18 LAVs, excuse me. More UAVs here.
Advance on you.
I really think this is missile ship bait. I don't think he cares about the scouting information.
Hostile forces detected. Be vigilant. Sand skimmer taking fire.
LAVs coming up, massed up, and they are avoiding missile ships there.
Artifact signal confirmed. It must be seized.
And they're just doing so much damage to these sand skimmers because the sand skimmers can't really get close enough to do much damage. The carrier now is the primary weapon for Descara, and this railgun should probably be shooting at it, if anything, just to make sure that he has to put some into armor. But
We have visual on the artifact.
it's not going to make a huge difference, but it is something. Or alternatively, maybe at the support cruiser that would be healing it. The missile ship's going to try and get a good hit on these LAVs, and they're going to kill a few and give these sand skimmers an opportunity to clean up the rest. Meanwhile, some strike fighters will go down, and Descara now has none. Missile ships also going down to the carrier. And this railgun really is still not doing much. It's like missing against these LAVs when it could be doing some damage to the carrier, doing some damage to the support cruiser.
Red heavy railgun destroyed by enemy
This carrier
forces.
is the game-ending unit here,
Heretic forces are extracting an artifact.
but I think Xzavion held out reasonably well
Defense
with those
alert.
missile ships.
Salvager lost. Defense alert. Production cruiser is
I wonder how well a
contact.
turret might have
Defense
done.
alert.
I guess it would have been
Cruiser
taken
has-
up by the air pretty quickly. Oh, okay, so Xzavion is going to GG out of that game, which is fair. That was a very good time to GG. And I think that game is about what I expected to see. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to see 2 victories from Xzavion, but I was expecting to see some decent play, and we did see some decent play and some smart decisions being made, and Xzavion was definitely reading the situation fairly well. It's hard to tell when you see AVs come in what exactly is going to come next. It's a very tough 1-2 punch to beat. So it's hard to fault Xzavion for not having the missile ships ready ahead of time, but he did cost Descara a whole lot for having those strike fighters. So definitely a good game, fun to watch. So we're going to get into game 2. This is on Torn Crater. Much more open map. And after that game, I wonder if we'll see missile ships come out like really early from Xzavion as a little bit of paranoia. It's a good paranoia to have. Just as long as you're not then getting countered by every other unit type. So, see you opening here for Xzavion.
We have discovered a sacred
And
site.
we'll look at the
Secure
production
wreck.
tab here so that
Rally
we can see
position
what's going
designated.
on. Salvage is going to be coming out for both.
Vehicle confirmed.
See you opening
Received
for
decommission order.
Descara as well, and Descara is going to send out his UAV just before retiring the base runner. So Descara wants lots of CUs, which I'm guessing means he's going to be going support cruiser, early expansion, and then right into some
Salvager
lower
online.
tech units.
Systems online.
Course
See?
set. Charge layout set. Get started.
Production
Maybe not.
cruiser
He's going on
moving
RUs, so he could still be going for AAVs.
Acknowledged.
Probe's going to look around, maybe try to find the base runner.
Be advised.
Base runner
Tracking
retired both
unidentified
sides.
hostile.
Targeting CU field.
I wonder what I wonder if Descara saw the ping here and was like, "Oh, I don't want to be found out by this unit," and then it's just a scanner.
Salvager online.
Cruiser ready.
Combat ready.
Refinery mode coming out very early for Xzavion. And for Descara, support cruiser coming out, so they're both going up to a second base pretty quickly. Sort of a repeat of last game in that sense.
Salvager
Sandskimmer Fab
construction
coming out,
complete.
which is good timing for that.
Red mark. Command verified.
Rally position.
Something that
marked.
Xzavion could do is sort
Rally
of early
position
drop these
designated.
resources, select one of these that's getting, where it just has a few resources in there, drop it off the carrier, and then send it back. And the reason is he's sort of always sitting at 237 or 187 or something like that because he retired his base runner. And early in the game, there's not much you can do with 37
Salvager
CUs. Everything's pretty much in increments of
Production
50.
cruiser ready to
So by
receive
quick dropping
resources
just
from
one
salvagers.
salvager, you can sort of just
Rally
gain a
position
few
designated.
seconds
Course set.
in any situation where you're waiting for X amount of resources.
Carrier active.
I think there's a name
Right,
for that.
attack
It's like quick
vehicle
dropping
rendering
or
complete.
hot dropping or something. I'm probably mixing up my RTS terminology horribly here.
Light attack vehicle rendering complete. Fleet capacity upgraded.
No
We
real
are
resourcing
docking
bias here
contact
from
signal.
either player. Both players
Secure.
just going for all of the resources that they can
Light attack vehicle
get
online.
at both of their two main bases.
Carrier systems operational.
Railgun Fab here coming out pretty early from Xzavion.
Sand skimmer advancing. Destination verified.
And also some sand skimmers coming out. So I wonder if he's not learned his lesson from last game, or if he's decided to double down on his strategy from last game and just do it better. We will see. AAVs coming out from Descara as expected.
Advance out.
And otherwise not a whole lot going on. These players
Coordinates
just
verified.
scouting around and flirting around with that. Descara probably having the better information with this UAV. I think
Course
Xzavion
set.
needs to get a sand skimmer up in
Systems
here to be able to
online.
see what's going on, and he's going to catch this AAV, which will help.
Move and monitor
Will
scans.
validate his decision
Defense
to
alert. Enemy armor
excuse me,
inbound.
to build railguns. And if he keeps scouting around and doesn't find other AAVs, he may say, all right, I mean, there's not many AAVs coming out, which is very good information to have because it might tell you what Descara is building. Descara is actually just building a support cruiser.
Moving to destination.
So Descara wants money. He wants to have an economy.
Target position set. Ready for strike.
A little bit of flirting here, and if Xzavion can get away with this sand skimmer, he'll be ahead of the game here because he will have done permanent damage to the coalition unit, while the coalition unit
Grid mark set. Advance.
has only done repairable damage to
Production cruiser
the
rendering
Course
complete.
set.
sand skimmer
Relay
there.
command. Sand skimmer moving out.
This AAV and this sand skimmer are still dancing
Set
around.
for
So,
advance.
just I imagine that
Acknowledged.
Xzavion is feeling pretty busy with these units, just trying to keep each and every one of them alive. I just want to check. Yeah, neither player's lost a unit yet.
Cruiser verified.
Another production cruiser coming out here, And it's going to go pretty far from the carrier there, but also 2 heavy railguns here for Xzavion. And I don't believe they've been spotted yet. This UAV might spot them if it doesn't get shot down by this production cruiser. If not, this AAV will probably spot the railguns eventually, but it might spot them sort of looking down their barrels.
Sand skimmer under fire.
Rally position designated.
And so Descara going to get on his 3rd resource point a little bit before Xzavion. Xzavion has the support cruiser there, he just doesn't have the salvagers there yet. He's spending a lot of time microing this one sand skimmer, and I love the effort. It's great to see units that are well managed to avoid those silly losses, unnecessary losses, but we do need to get some salvaging going on here because we're going to lose many more resources by not salvaging. A lot of UAVs coming out from Descara. Descara has 2 base runners, and he's just deploying UAVs, it looks like, at the maximum interval he can. We're a little past 5 minutes now. Very little has happened so far this game. And he just wants all of the information he can have. He's got such massive coverage here. He's like at this tiny hole right there where you can't even really move units, where he can't see what's going on.
Light attack vehicle rendering complete.
And he's going to start capping artifacts, and he's really unopposed so far, and any opposition that he does see is going to be scouted. This UAV will go down. Oh no, that didn't go down, just went out of range. Okay. So the AA, they're not actually getting it that quickly. And this resource point, still not... Just now, we're finally seeing that be broken open.
Coordinates right attack vehicle rendering complete.
Relay command.
We do see 3 heavy railguns from Xzavion, and a lot of sand skimmers starting to mass up, which will be useful if he can use them to start taking out some of the scouts, maybe take out a base runner. He just has to avoid the armored assaults there, and I'm watching for air here from Descara as well. But I think Descara is really happy to just sort of have the economy, have the defenses. Descara is sort of ticking all the boxes here as far as defense goes. He's like, all right, I'm immune to sand skimmers here at my base. I'm immune to people surprising me because I've got all these UAVs out here. I'm gonna have the carrier power and make it so that the artifacts aren't the problem in this game. And then he's just gonna spam LAVs, it looks like.
Missile ship rendering complete.
Defense alert.
Missile ships coming out here from Xzavion. So he has learned his lesson a little bit, but maybe hasn't read this situation. I guess I would be paranoid and expecting air as well in this situation because there's just not many other units, and if I can't see the units, this is probably air. Turret here from Descara.
Strike craft destroyed.
Gonna do a lot of good damage because it isn't being stopped by the sand skimmers. It's pretty low too, so it could have been stopped by a lot of these sand skimmers. And it had time to get up. So that's going to hurt a lot. It's not a great turret location, especially with this hill here, but it seems to do a good job anyway. And Descara, with his excellent preparation at his base, 3 support cruisers already at this point in the game, is just going to use his carrier as a blunt weapon.
Fleet capacity upgrade craft
responding. Coordinates verified.
And Xzavion is prepared, but not really utilized these weapons. He has assault rails, which are going to be great against these LAVs. He has heavy rails, which could be great against the carrier, but they're not there. They could be great against these base runners, but they're not there. And that's a problem, because Descara has power reserve research. He also is going to get these artifacts, and this carrier then can just kind of roll in here. And unless we get a lot of heavy railguns very quickly, this carrier is just going to overrun this base.
Target position set.
So again, some very nice micro play from Xzavion. I think a lot of players running into this turret and running into that many LAVs and running into the carrier would have lost many more sand skimmers. Xzavion also had those armor upgrades, which were a great choice. But he's ultimately going to end up with just 3 sand skimmers, and he needed these, I think, to be up here sooner. But he's going to start moving these assault rails and these heavy rails. And I think he's probably pretty scared of the aircraft coming, but I still don't see any air from Descara, so these railguns will get a lot done if they can get into position. Okay, so this is the unit that Descara was hiding. This is why we couldn't see where Descara's resources were going is because they were going to a battlecruiser and to the battlecruiser tech. And this is going to be really hard on these assault railguns. The heavy railguns, if they can get back fast enough, might be able to do something to this battlecruiser. But the battlecruiser, any railgun it looks at, it's just going to blow up almost immediately. Sort of same with the carrier. He's got 2 battlecruisers. Okay, I don't know how I missed that. I guess he was building those simultaneously on production lines, and so he just did a double battlecruiser drop. And that has probably made Xzavion very, very frustrated. Because that is all of Xzavion's railguns gone. And Xzavion's resource expansion here gone. And that's very hard to spot. You know, what do you do? You sort of say, well, I'm guessing he has aircraft, so you build missile ships.
We must claim Sejuk's legacy.
And he's got battlecruisers instead. In this situation, I might just run away. I think I might just take my my salvages, run away with my carrier, run over to Descara's 3rd expansion point, and just start mining there, and use a few assault rails to clear that out, and just base swap. I think that might be my play, and just run away from these battlecruisers until I can get enough heavy rails to deal with that problem. Or enough bombers, maybe. This is not a situation where I would probably want to hang around.
Assault railgun lost.
Because these are so powerful. A 3rd battlecruiser here coming out. Now another option is that I might have tried to use heavier railguns to whittle down the carrier, but it did have enough power to switch into armor, so that may not have worked very well. It's not a lot you can do against that kind of a drop. And Xzavion is going to pretty quickly realize that there was nothing to do there. I do think if I were in his shoes, I would have tried to do the silly, you know, run around to the enemy base thing, do the base swap. I don't think I would have expected to win, but it might have been fun. So, an interesting couple of games. Pretty similar in both cases. Descara making that expensive unit choice that is just very difficult to counter, and switching it up in the second game, which was certainly smart. Xzavion, I think, did have great micro in that game. Maybe could be a little more on the ball with moving those railguns up into position. If he had those around to fight the base runners or to fight the carrier before it dropped those battlecruisers, maybe he could have caught Descara unawares. But he was probably rightfully afraid of these strike fighters, so it's always tough to read. In any case, entertaining games to watch. So thank you for watching those, and I will have more Artifact Cup 18 games soon, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching.